Super. Okay, so welcome to today's licensing subcommittee to consider the application for a new premises license at Friends Fish and Chip Shop, 162 King Street, Ramsgate. My name is James Flaxman, and I'm acting as the meeting facilitator in order to conduct the election of chair. So please can I have a nomination?
I'd like to nominate Councillor Banbridge.
Super, thank you very much, Councillor Shrub. And is that seconded, Councillor Wright?
Yes, it is.
Lovely. Okay, in that case, I'll hand over to you, Councillor Banbridge. So over to you. Thank you.
Sorry, just on mute. Welcome everyone to today's meeting of the Licensing Subcommittee. Prior to this meeting, all participants have previously checked that they can be heard and seen and can see and hear other members. To double check this and to introduce everyone who is present at this remote meeting, I'd kindly ask that you confirm your attendance and your role or job title when I say your name. Mrs. Brock?
Yes, Alison Brock, Licensing Officer.
Councillor Wright?
Yeah, I'm here, member of the Licensing Committee.
Councillor Shrub?
Yes, I'm here and I'm also a member of the Licensing Committee.
Ms. Phillips?
Yes, I'm here and I'm the Principal Litigation Lawyer for the Council.
Thank you. Mr. Claxton?
Yes, I'm here, thanks, Chair. Democratic Services.
Thank you. PC Gregg?
Yes, I'm here. I'm PC Gregg, Licensing Officer for Kent Police.
Okay, thank you. And Leah Merton?
Hi, my name is Leah Martin. I'm here on behalf of the applicants. Thank you.
Okay. And Katie Brewer?
Hi there, I'm here, Democratic Services.
Thank you. Have I missed anyone talking today? No? Okay, if you have technical difficulties during the meeting, then please contact Katie, the Democratic Services Officer on call, who will attempt to assist you on 01843 577 046. She will put her phone number in the chat function. Thank you, Katie. I'd ask participants, when you're not speaking, to please mute your microphone. This minimises background noise and will help everyone in listening to the proceedings. Microphones must only be on if the participant has been granted permission to speak. To gain my permission to speak, please very briefly indicate on the chat to the right side of the screen, and I will then make a note and go back to you once the person speaking has finished. Would everyone present please ensure that their mobile phones are turned to silent and that they are not used to make or receive phone calls whilst the meeting is in progress. Do not turn off your phones in case you need to be contacted in the event of technical difficulties. Please also refrain from checking emails or conducting other business and ensure that you are in a quiet room, free from distractions for the duration of the meeting. Please note, this meeting is being streamed for members of the public. Except for the private deliberation part of this meeting, a separate private hangout meeting will take place for this element of item 4, and the public meeting will resume in its previous digital location 30 minutes later, unless there is a reason to suggest an earlier or later time. No unauthorised recording of the confidential item of business is permitted to take place. Are there any apologies for absence? No. Any declarations of interest? No. Okay, so application for premises licence, Friends Fish and Chip Shop. I call upon Ms Phillips, the Council's Principal Litigation Solicitor, to explain to the parties the procedure that we will be taking during this hearing.
Good morning, thank you. I'd like everyone present to know that the decisions of the subcommittee are made in accordance with the Licensing Act 2003 and based on the information presented in this agenda this morning, together with any verbal submissions made today. Decisions of the subcommittee are not politically based, and the subcommittee will act impartially and offer a fair and unbiased hearing of today's application. This subcommittee will give fair consideration to everything it hears and reads today. As was said earlier, we are here to consider the application of Mr. Haki Buyu Ketas for a new premises license in respect of Friends Fish and Chip Shop at 162 King Street, Ramsgate, Kent, CT 118 PJ, under Section 17 of the Licensing Act 2003. The application was made through an agent, Mr. Biza Zifelek of SE License and Legal Consultancy Limited at 84 Hayes Lane, Bromley, Kent. And the application, of course, is made to Thanet District Council as the relevant licensing authority in accordance with Section 12 of the Licensing Act. In relation to the further proceedings, we will hear the parties in the following order: the licensing officer, and then we'll hear the applicant's representative. As I understand, the applicant isn't here in person, but the representative will be in communication with him throughout this morning. And then we will hear representations from the police. Each party has up to 15 minutes to make its application, to make its presentation, and this includes any witnesses. You will not be allowed to introduce any new evidence at this stage that has not been disclosed prior to these proceedings. And if there is an attempt to do that, then I may have to interrupt. You are not expected nor required to talk for the full 15 minutes, however. Following each presentation, the members of the subcommittee may ask questions of the applicant and the representative, and there is no time limit for the members' questions. At the end of the proceedings, each party will have 5 minutes to make a closing statement in the following order: the applicant for the license, the representatives, and the police. And please note, to ensure that this virtual meeting runs smoothly, as was said, only one individual shall be allowed to speak at a time. Any person speaking must be permitted to finish what they are saying without interruption. And I will direct specifically who's speaking by name at any given time. The meeting will then adjourn, as was stated, for a subcommittee to consider its decisions and to deliberate on the evidence and representations made. And when we adjourn, the subcommittee members, the legal officer, myself, and the clerk will leave the virtual meeting. If you'd like to hear the decision of the subcommittee, I shall advise everyone of the decision approximately 30 minutes from the time of the adjournment. And if you choose, you can wait until then. You can either remain in the virtual meeting during this time, or you can use the link again to re-access the meeting. If you decide to wait in the virtual meeting room, please turn off your cameras and microphones to ensure your privacy, as the recording will continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Phillips. I'd like to stress the importance of following this hearing procedure, and that there will be an opportunity for all parties to make a final presentation after questioning. Therefore, I'd advise all present to please follow the procedure and to respect those speaking by not interrupting or speaking over others. If people do interrupt or speak over others, I as chairman will ask them to refrain from doing so. If they continue to do so after my warning, then that individual could face being asked to leave the meeting. Could the licensing officer please present the report?
Morning, everyone. We're here because we've had a new application in for a premises license at 162 King Street, Ramsgate. As I say, it's a new license and it's to sell alcohol off the premises. So it's not on the premises. The premises is a takeaway, so it's basically takeaway alcohol. And the hours that they've requested are 11 in the morning till 11 in the evening. And we've received the one objection, which is from the police, and that's the reason we're here today. So we would like your decision on the application, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Would the applicant's agent please present their application?
Good morning, everyone. We understand and appreciate the comments made by the police licensing, and we would like to set everyone's mind at rest. As this is the only representation received, I will be referring to that in my presentation. First of all, I want to mention that the fish bar is not located within Central Harbour Ward. It is located within Eastfield Ward. Nevertheless, the number of crimes in East Cliff Ward is similar to that in Central Harbour Ward. However, I should note that there has been only one antisocial behaviour crime on or near King Street within the last 6 months, according to the crime register, and that was in December 2020. We believe that Mr. Büyükertaş will contribute to the prevention of crimes in the area by having a responsible ethos. It is a fact that crime figures are rising, but it's not logical to say that alcohol is the key factor. We see that there has been a major increase in crimes after March 2020, when the pandemic broke out. Many studies show that economic distress is actually one of the main causes of antisocial behavior, and a lot of people are suffering from economic distress nowadays due to the coronavirus outbreak. Hopefully, we will soon overcome the pandemic and it will reduce the crimes. We are aware that the police and community groups are taking steps to prevent the crimes in the area, and we totally support them. However, the granting of an alcohol license to a premises is not contradictory to these positive steps unless the premises can show that they have taken robust arrangements, which is the case here. We think that we are prepared to prevent problems arising from alcohol sales. It is written here that enabling another venue to sell alcohol only encourages sales. Just because a premises sells alcohol, it doesn't mean that they encourage sales or consumption of alcohol. Similarly, a pharmacy does not encourage sales of drugs. As a responsible business owner, Mr. Hakkı Büyükertaş will not promote alcohol in any way, and the premises will not be alcohol-less. We believe that people who want to take alcohol and drink in a nearby park or any other public open space would purchase alcohol from a licensed convenience store in the vicinity, such as Victoria off-license, Aldi, or Costco's. Our off-sales will be auxiliary to a food order and will be made in sealed containers, preventing immediate consumptions. Also, there is no need to be concerned about the granting of this license, as it would not set a precedent for other takeaways. According to the Licensing Act 2003, each application must be considered on its own merits. Nevertheless, if that was the case, this application must have been granted without the need for a consultation period, as there are many license takeaways in England. We do not expect the sale of alcohol to increase the number of our customers substantially. Therefore, we do not anticipate more noise or alcohol-related disorders. However, proper signage will be displayed to remind customers to be considerate. Mr. Büyükertaş and many of his customers live in the neighborhood. An increase in noise and disorder would be detrimental to his business as well as the quality of their life. That is the last thing the applicant wants. As to the youth purchasing alcoholic drinks, there will be a Challenge 25 policy in operation to ensure that alcohol will not be sold to underage customers or intoxicated people. As a personal license holder, Mr. Büyükertaş can easily guess a person's age and will ask for identification when someone who appears to be under the age of 25 attempts to purchase alcohol. Moreover, his experience within the food service industry puts him in an excellent position to identify adults buying alcohol on behalf of young people and prevent them. There will be a CCTV system covering entrances, internal areas, and external areas of the premises, which will deter any possible problems and disturbances. A well-run CCTV-protected shop will not only enhance the area, it will discourage people from lingering and drinking on the street. The CCTV will be in operation constantly, therefore discouraging antisocial behavior. Moreover, alcohol will not be sold if the CCTV is inoperative for any reason. The applicant is aware that he will be responsible for minimizing the impact of the licensing activities and antisocial behavior by his patrons within the immediate vicinity of the premises. We believe the conditions that we suggest are enough to minimize any adverse impact, and we are open to discuss further conditions that you may seem fit. I hope that I covered all the, every issue and concerns regarding this application. However, if there is anything further, then we are ready to answer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Does the licensing team have any questions for the applicant's agent?
No, thank you, Chair.
Okay. Do the police have any questions for the applicant's agent?
Not at this time, no.
Do members of the committee have any questions for the applicant's agent? Councillor Schwab?
Yes, I've got a couple. Can you tell me, does the applicant have any other food establishments in the vicinity?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Does the applicant have any other takeaway establishments in the vicinity?
No, he doesn't.
No. Also, does he work in the shop himself?
Yes, he does work in the shop himself.
Excellent. And what type of alcohol does he intend to supply? Because I've noticed that it's only a little fridge that you've aimed to have in there. It's not as if you can have optics up, is it?
Yeah, it will be just beer and wine, basic stuff, really. Not anything strong.
Excellent. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Wright.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Could I ask the applicant's agent, is it the intention to only sell the alcohol with the purchase of food, or will anybody be able to walk in and out to buy alcohol?
And that's right. The sale of alcohol will be ancillary to a food order. No one will be able to buy alcohol without buying food.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Wright. So, if there's no other questions, would the police please present their case?
Good morning, everyone. The police have objected to this application because the fish bar is located in King Street in Ramsgate, which the road itself experiences one of the largest antisocial behaviour across the Thanet district. The antisocial behaviour stems from a mixture of youth-related offending and disorder caused by a cohort of rough sleepers. The nighttime economy with regard to pubs and clubs also plays a part when hospitality is open. Alcohol is the key factor across all elements. I have come up with some stats which shows on my objections the amount of ASB calls surrounding that area from October 2019 to October 2020. Obviously, with the coronavirus pandemic, we saw much of 2020 in a national lockdown with subsequent local closures. However, the demand upon police in relation to ASB remained high, with an increase towards the end of the year. Police have taken numerous measures to crack down on the behaviour, from increased patrolling through to the use of dispersal orders and civil injunctions. Our partners from youth services are also engaged in outreach and diversionary tactics in the area. The granting of an alcohol licence to this premises is contradictory to the positive steps already undertaken by the police and other community groups. The aim is to reduce alcohol consumption and related nuisance. Enabling another venue, a fish and chip shop, to sell alcohol only encourages sales and makes it more readily available. The fish bar is a takeaway only business, and the premises has no seating area for customers to dine in. An off-sales licence raises concerns in relation to people taking alcohol away from the venue to drink in the nearby park or other public open spaces. I'm also concerned that the granting of this licence would set a precedent for other takeaway venues to follow suit, which cannot be permitted due to the risk of disorder and already the significant levels of antisocial behaviour in Ramsgate. I understand you already operate until 11 p.m. serving food to take away, but with the added sale of alcohol, this increases the potential for more noise and alcohol-related disorder. It is a largely residential area, so there is an obligation to consider the prevention of nuisance to the local communities. A public spaces protection order is already implemented and covers the location of Ramsgate Town Centre. There is also a PSPO in place for the whole of Thanet district regarding the consumption of alcohol in public places. They were brought in following public consultation to restrict the use of alcohol and reduce levels of ASB in public spaces. The granting of an off licence for takeaway alcohol again contradicts those plans in place at the location to try and protect the public from ASB and alcohol related behaviours. We do not want to add to the issues, just rather reduce it. Boundary Park is directly opposite the road from the fish bar. It is a hotspot for youth-related ASB. It is a congregated area and the police object to any alcohol-related licence, particularly off-licence, that could potentially enable youths to purchase alcohol, drinks or consume them. There is also the opportunity for them to encourage other adults to purchase on their behalf. The fish and chip shop is too easily accessible in that respect. So that's my objection. My concerns are that when people do go into the fish and chip shop to order a portion of chips, that they are then be able to buy a bottle of beer, a can of beer, and take it to the bar and drink. This is from 11 o'clock in the morning through to 11 o'clock at night. For me, the fish and chip shop is you walk in, you get your food, you walk away. There is other off licenses. If people want to purchase alcohol, there is other off licenses in the area. I don't feel the need that a fish and chip shop needs to offer alcohol when ordering food. If there was seating inside, I totally understand that. You sit down for a meal, have a drink. I don't feel the need to have alcohol being on sale whilst getting a fish and chips takeaway. So that's my representation, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Does the applicant's agent have any questions for the police?
No, thank you.
Okay. Do members of the committee have any questions for the police? Councillor Schwab?
None from me, Chair.
Councillor Wright? No? Okay. I just wanted to ask, you said about setting a precedent. I'm just wondering, are there many like fish and chip type shop takeaways?
Yes. Sorry.
That also have an alcohol license in the vicinity.
I don't know of any at the moment, but Ramsgate does have a lot of takeaway services in the area. We don't think there's any that have an alcohol license to serve alcohol, to sell off sales alcohol, and this is our concern. Ramsgate already has a lot of pubs, clubs off licenses, so I'm worried that if this is granted, it's just going to have a rolling effect throughout the whole of Ramsgate takeaways.
Okay, follow-up question. Regarding these ASB calls that you've listed, obviously, they're escalating since the pandemic. Are most of these calls, or is there a huge percentage of these calls that are alcohol related?
Yes. So I've gone through the statistics, and these are all our ASB calls in the area. I would probably say 50-60% are alcohol related. Youths, adults, disturbances. So I would just say yes.
Okay. So the concern is about alcohol related instances.
Yes.
Thank you. I would now like to ask each party to sum up and make final representations. Each have 5 minutes. Could I ask the police to sum up? Make their final statement again.
To sum up, if this licence was granted, like I've said before, I would be very concerned that I understand what the agent is saying, that we should all look at your application on its own. But as police, we are really concerned that if this was granted, then we will have lots of other takeaways in the area wanting to sell off-sales alcohol. Ramsgate's already very high with ASB, alcohol-related crime. Boundary Park is literally across the road from the fish bar. For me, I would just be concerned about the more alcohol-related issues that the police would have to deal with. So, thank you.
Okay. Would the applicant's agent? Thank you. Sorry. Would the applicant's agent like to sum up?
Thank you. I just want to say that we understand the concerns of the police, but having a well-run licensed premises, we don't believe it would cause a problem for the area. The crime figures are rising due to the pandemic, we believe, and the granting of an alcohol license, as I said, would not set a precedent. There are some license takeaways in Ramsgate as well. Actually, there is a license application currently in place for an off and off license with similar hours to this application. But as I said, each application should be considered on its own merits. If the applicant is able to prove that they are well equipped and can prevent alcohol-related problems, the application should be granted. Besides, there will be a Challenge 25 policy, a CCTV camera. We do not expect our customers to increase substantially, therefore we do not anticipate noise or disorder. As a licensed premises, the premises holder will be entitled to minimize the impact of licensing activities taking place at his premises. And we are willing to collaborate with the community and the local businesses to support the business in the area, a well-run nighttime economy, and make the area a safe place for the general public. I think that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Members of the subcommittee will now leave this meeting along with the council's legal representative to deliberate this matter in private. We shall resume here to deliver a verdict in 30 minutes' time. Whilst we leave the meeting, I will ask the Democratic Services Officer to explain the retiring process.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, so we'll meet back here using this meeting link at 11 o'clock. So you can, it's up to you if you want to stay in the meeting or if you want to close the tab and then go back in using the previous hyperlink. If you do choose to stay in the meeting, as the legal officer mentioned earlier, please remember to turn your microphone and your video off, as the live feed to YouTube will continue while we're away. And okay, so myself and the legal officer and the councillors will now go to a private session to deliberate, and we'll meet back here at about 11 o'clock. So we'll see you then. Okay, so it's 11 o'clock. We're still live streaming, so I'll hand over to you, Councillor Banbridge, to call upon the next step.
Okay, and we're all back, yes?
Yep, I believe so.
Okay. Thank you, James. I'd now like to invite Ms. Phillips, the Principal Litigation Solicitor, to read a summary of the subcommittee's determination.
Thank you. In the application of Mr. Hookie Buyer-Curtis in respect of a new licence for the fish and chip shop at 162 King Street, Ramsgate, Kent, CT 118PJ, it is the decision of Thanet District Council as the relevant licensing authority in accordance with Section 12 of the Licensing Act 2003, having considered representations made to the licensing subcommittee today from the licensing authority, the applicant through his representative, Mr. Merton, and the police, and also considering the council's licensing policy, which includes specifically to reduce crime and disorder and reduce alcoholic misuse, the application is refused on the basis that, notwithstanding representations made by Mr. Merton as to the measures that will be put in place to meet the licensing objectives, it is the view that it still will not prevent crime and disorder and is likely to increase antisocial behaviour in the area. It will not contribute to public safety due to the anticipated increase of antisocial behaviour in the area. It will not prevent nuisance in the area, and it will not protect children from harm, especially due to its proximity and its location.
Okay, thank you. That concludes the business for this meeting of the licensing subcommittee.